Tonight, charges upgraded. What new charges the student accused in a Brandon sword attack is facing and what it may mean for the case going forward. Also tonight.
I was stunned, I was shocked, I knew it was bad, but I did not know it was this bad.
High rates of absenteeism in North End schools brought to light in a new documentary. Plus, from dust to dust.
It's really a very peaceful and tranquil space.
The quiet dignity of Winnipeg's first dedicated cemetery for natural burials.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. New details are emerging tonight about a brutal sword attack at a Brandon high school. Charges against the teenager accused in the attack have been upgraded, and if found guilty, the Crown wants the teen sentenced as an adult. Standing by live in studio with the latest is CTV's Danton Unger. Danton, what can you tell us about these new charges?
Well, Marilee, the 16-year-old male was previously facing 1 count of attempted murder and 2 counts of assault with a weapon. However, the Crown has confirmed those assault charges have now been upgraded, leaving the accused facing 3 counts of attempted murder. This all comes after Brandon police arrested the teen at Neelan High School on June 10th, accusing him of brutally attacking another 15-year-old student with a sword, leaving them with serious injuries. Police have since alleged the attack was racially motivated. And as you mentioned, Marilee, the Crown attorney on the case, Jennifer Comack, tells CTV News she has given notice the Crown intends to seek an adult sentence should the accused be convicted or plead guilty. The maximum youth sentence for attempted murder is up to 3 years in custody, while the maximum adult sentence is life in prison. The lawyer for the accused tells CTV News they are opposed to the adult sentencing. Now, Marilee, we've also learned there were additional victims in this attack. The Crown attorney confirmed the 3 charges laid are related to 3 separate victims. Brandon Police Chief Tyler Bates tells CTV News following the initial attack on the 15-year-old boy, the accused, armed with the sword, allegedly chased a staff member and another student in the school. Both were able to escape unharmed with no physical injuries, but Bates says police believe the intentions were clear. And just to note, the names of any victims, witnesses, and accused under 18 are all protected under the Youth Criminal Justice Act.
All right, Dan, do we know when this will actually go to trial?
Well, there's a hearing set for October 7th in Brandon. However, no trial date has been set at this point. Comack tells CTV News they have not yet been told if the accused intends to plead guilty or have a trial. None of the charges or allegations against them have been tested in court.
All right, thanks for this, Danton. A new documentary is drawing attention to the problem of students not going to school. A trailer for the feature says the absentee rate at one school was as high as 71%. And as CTV's Jeff Keel shows you, the organization that produced the documentary says the issue is getting pushed out of the way.
Reg Clausen says it was hard to hear about students who weren't showing up for class, some for months at a time.
Hadn't registered, and it was the middle of November. It was painful. It was painful for all of us in the school division.
The former school superintendent says absenteeism is a problem and it's become worse since the pandemic. So he said yes when asked to participate in a documentary on the subject.
What matters is that we're getting a message out, and we need to do something significant.
The documentary Absent was produced by faith-based organization Inner City Youth Alive. Executive Director Kent Duick says some schools in Winnipeg's North End are experiencing high rates of absenteeism.
It can be things that are happening in the home. It can be challenges related to addiction. It can be mental health.
He's calling on school divisions and the province to do more outreach to get students back in class and put more programs in place to keep them in class once they do come back.
The issue is always getting pushed out of the way, and it's sort of an open secret. You know, teachers know that it's bad.
6% of our students, really struggle with attendance.
Winnipeg School Division Superintendent Matt Henderson says staff members do make house calls in cases where students are missing school for long periods of time, and schools are trying to reduce barriers while adding programs.
You know, what we've done is really extended the day for as many students as we can. We're feeding as many students as we can, breakfast, lunch, snack. We see the power of programs like football.
Manitoba's education minister says they are working hard to address this and says the school nutrition program they introduced is paying off.
What we're seeing is that kids are showing up to school, they're showing up on time, and they're showing up ready and excited to learn.
Jeff Keel, CTV News, Winnipeg.
The city says higher levels of bacteria and viruses will soon start flowing into the Red River. It's only temporary as workers need to shut off the UV treatment at the North End Wastewater Treatment Plant while upgrades are underway. It means the water may be more harmful for humans and pets, but not fish. Anyone living within 3 kilometers downstream will be contacted directly. The UV treatment will be turned off next Wednesday and is expected to resume in March. The city notes this will not affect anyone's drinking water. The province is in the early stages of twinning a stretch of highway north of Winnipeg. A spokesperson for Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure says the department is currently in the design stage of twinning 14 kilometers of Highway 59. The stretch of highway runs from Highway 12 to roughly 4 kilometers south of South Beach Casino. The design phase is expected to take somewhere between 1 and 2 years, with construction to follow. The province says it's too early to say when it might be completed. Walkers, cyclers, and joggers in North Winnipeg now have a new path to explore.
3, 2, 1.
Ribbons were cut to open the Keewatin multi-use path this morning. It runs 4.5 kilometers from Inkster Gardens to Brooklands, and it's accessible for people of all ages and abilities. Bike Winnipeg's executive director says connecting communities gets more people choosing active transportation and leaving their cars at home.
You don't have to go far to look in the Northeast Pioneers Greenway, to look at the Blue Line Rapid Transit with the AT, just to see the amount of activity that gets generated through there, the number of people that are choosing to use that. Certainly it does when they build it and when we connect it, people use it and enjoy it.
There's also new lighting and controlled pedestrian crossings at busy streets. All right, check out this video. This is what it looked like early this morning. Colleen Brady is in now with a look at our Skywatch evening forecast. We've been battling this fog for the past couple days, but this morning it was really thick.
Oh, I think it took the cake this morning. If you look closely, you see that pop out there on the side of your screen. That's the very tippy top of the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. Boy, was it heavy here in Winnipeg and all across the southeast, and for good reason. Of course, we had all that rain just a couple of days ago. The winds were light last night, and the sky was otherwise clear. And you put that all together, and it produced all that fog that came right down to the surface. We will not be hitting that repeat button tonight because there'll be winds picking up out of the south. That'll be just a little too strong for that to develop. However, next door, northwestern Ontario, that fog should develop in your region tonight. More on that and a look ahead to the rest of this very warm week and into the weekend. Let's take a look right now through the Bathfitter Live Eye. Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. Blue sky out there, 25 degrees, light winds out of the southwest. The pressure's dropping, and the humidity right now merrily is 34%.
Thanks, Colleen. A warning for those of you living in the province's north. RCMP say they're seeing an uptick in grandparent scams in the area. Typically, Mounties say the person receives a call from someone claiming to be either a relative or a lawyer who asks for large sums of money for bail. The person is then instructed to send the money via mail to an address outside the province. RCMP say at least 4 elderly people in Flin Flon had been targeted in this way recently, 2 of whom lost thousands of dollars. Police say if you receive a call like this, you should hang up and call your family member or local police directly to find out if it's legitimate. A new mapping system is showing a clearer picture of how widespread invasive pigs are in Manitoba, and it may be helpful in controlling the animals' numbers. Invasive pigs have become a growing concern in recent years. They're difficult to eradicate, reproduce quickly, and destroy crops and natural habitats. So, Animal Health Canada has now compiled data from across the country of known and reported wild pigs and efforts to remove them. This map is the first time provincial governments and Animal Health Canada have standardized how they track and document wild pig populations. It shows colonies in places like Spruce Woods Provincial Park and around around Lake Manitoba. The blue on your screen represents activities related to prevention, management, or removal. Orange represents known locations where pigs have lived continuously for more than a year. And the black dots show verified reports of one or more wild pigs. The data is current as of 2023, and the agency says it will update the map regularly. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Burial practices are personal and varied. And now, at a city-run cemetery, there's a new option to consider when making final arrangements for yourself or loved ones. CTV's Daniel Helmerson explains.
There are more than 110,000 burials at Brookside Cemetery, and now the city of Winnipeg is offering people a new way to be laid to rest here in this half-acre of native grass and wildflowers nestled along Omens Creek.
It's really enclosed by beautiful 100-year-old mature trees, so it's really a very peaceful and tranquil space.
It's called a natural burial, and Brookside is the first cemetery in Manitoba certified by the Green Burial Society of Canada.
With green burial, people are buried, a little bit closer to the surface where the ground is more biologically active. And then their body in the ground can actually be a gift, something that benefits the earth, rather than something that is a strain on it.
The city's cemeteries administrator says there's been a growing demand for options to minimize environmental footprints after death.
Just really looking to have more of a minimal impact on the environment and returning their body back to the earth in a fairly natural state, or as natural as possible.
Brett Schenbach says natural burial follows a few basic fundamentals.
Embalming is not permitted on the site, so bodies are interred within the area, not embalmed. Additionally, bodies are interred in a shroud or biodegradable casket.
Flat markers and upright monuments are also not permitted on this site. Instead, people can honor loved ones on this communal memorial. Schenbach says there's enough space for 130 full-body interments here, with room to expand in the future.
So we're really looking to just sort of learn from this experience and see what kind of response we get from the community.
Daniel Helmerson, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Natural burials can be arranged at Brookside Cemetery, and since announcing this new option on Tuesday, the cemetery's administrator says several plots have already been sold. Manitoba continues to lose people to interprovincial migration, but the rate has slowed compared to recent years. New data from Statistics Canada shows our province had a net loss of 4,000 people last year. That's the lowest level since the pandemic. That being said, the population overall continues to climb, reaching 1,509,000 as of July. Manitoba hasn't had a net gain in population from interprovincial migration since 1982. Assiniboine Park is going to become a lot more green thanks to a generous donation from a local philanthropist. Assiniboine Park Conservancy is celebrating a $600,000 donation from Bob Williams. The money will allow it to plant 200 new trees annually for the next 3 years and take care of maintenance for many years afterwards. Williams was awarded the Order of Manitoba last year in recognition of the millions of dollars he's donated in support of the arts, healthcare, and nature. Still to come tonight, a stay of execution for hundreds of ostriches in BC. What happens next after the Supreme Court orders a halt to plans to cull hundreds of birds over avian flu concerns? Plus, we take you to China, where the most powerful typhoon of the year has made landfall. Stay with us.
Your morning just got a little brighter. Start your day with CTV Your Morning, and you could win $20,000. For your chance to win, watch CTV Your Morning Winnipeg, weekday mornings 6 to 9.
Taking a look at the markets tonight, crude oil added $1.50. The Canadian dollar dropped below 72 cents U.S. Gold lost $47. The TSX fell 58 points. The Dow Jones slid 171 points, while the Nasdaq ended the day 75 points lower. In a forum built to pursue peace, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky asked for continuing support from members of the United Nations to defend itself against Russia. It comes one day after U.S. President Donald Trump's remarkable U-turn when he said he believed Ukraine could win the war. CTV's Judy Trin reports from the United Nations headquarters in New York.
We are now living through the most destructive arms race in human history.
Even as Ukraine's president warned about the escalating dangers of unchecked AI-controlled drones, Vladimir Zelensky said the less advanced version of the weapons was enabling his country to hold back Moscow's might.
Ukraine doesn't have the big fat missiles dictators love to show off in parades, but we do have drones that can fly up to 2,000-3,000 kilometers.
Zelensky cited success in destroying Russian assets in the Black Sea and key infrastructure. His comments come as the American president takes a harsher tone toward the Kremlin. In the past week, Russian drones and fighter jets have flown into the airspace of Poland and Estonia, NATO members.
Do you think that NATO countries should shoot down Russian aircraft if they enter their airspace?
Yes, I do.
After Tuesday's face-to-face, Donald Trump made a remarkable U-turn. He posted on social media that after getting to understand the Ukraine-Russia military economic situation, he now believes Ukraine can win back all of its territory. Previously, Trump had said ending the war would require Ukraine giving up territory it had lost. The prime minister said that Vladimir Putin had proven he could not be trusted.
The president, however, has made very sincere and multiple efforts to try to establish peace. He has used his long-standing relationship with President Putin in those efforts to try to establish peace, and Putin has failed on every occasion, every opportunity.
Trump has called on nations to put secondary sanctions on countries that buy Russian oil. Prime Minister Mark Carney said G7 countries are discussing such economic measures to put additional pressure on Putin to end the war. Judy Trin, CTV News, New York.
An employee at the Royal Bank of Canada has been charged with accessing the bank records of Prime Minister Mark Carney. The 23-year-old was arrested in July and charged last month with fraud and identity theft. His next court appearance is in 1 week. In question period today, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre pressed the Prime Minister about comments made by his public safety minister, appearing to question Ottawa's plans for a gun buyback program.
Mr. Speaker, the public safety minister has admitted that going after farmers and hunters rifles is not going to fight crime. So the only reason to do this is politics. If he was telling the truth, then why not reverse? If not, why isn't he fired?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the gun registry, what the government is doing with the gun registry is putting in place a much more efficient way. An efficient way for Canadians to voluntarily return prohibited firearms, for fair compensation. This government is going to do it right.
Public Safety Minister Gary Anand Asangari says he was being recorded without his knowledge in a private conversation. In it, he suggested he would approach the gun buyback effort differently and suggested the PM was sticking to the policy to appease voters in Quebec. Carney says he has confidence in his minister remaining in the role. The Supreme Court of Canada has granted a last-minute stay to temporarily block the cull of hundreds of ostriches on a BC farm. The cull will remain on hold until the High Court considers an application for leave to appeal. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency has been on the farm in the West Kootenay region of BC for days, preparing for the cull of nearly 400 birds. The CFIA will remain there, maintaining custody of the ostriches until the ruling is made. The cull order was given shortly after avian flu was detected in the flock last December. Tensions have been mounting at the farm, and an overnight hay wall was set on fire. More gun violence stateside, this time a shooting at an ice field office in Dallas in which one person died. The FBI says it's being investigated as a targeted act of violence. Rena Roy reports.
Investigators seen searching the roof of a building in Dallas, Texas, where they believe a shooter was perched this morning, opening fire on an Immigration and Customs Enforcement field office. The FBI releasing new images showing an unspent shell casing engraved with the phrase anti-ICE.
I can confirm at this time that the FBI is investigating this incident as an act of targeted violence.
Authorities say a gunman opened fire just before 7 a.m. local time, shooting 3 detainees, one of them dead, the other 2 in critical condition. This photo appears to show bullet holes in an American flag display. The Department of Homeland Security saying the shooter fired indiscriminately, including at a van where the victims were shot.
While we're not releasing identities of any victims at this time, what I can confirm for you is no members of law enforcement were hurt during this attack.
Just be advised, it's still active shooter. There's a sniper on the roof.
This 61-year-old woman named Mayra says she was at the facility for a routine check-in when she heard about 20 shots ring out. Security screaming at everyone to get down for safety before the building went on lockdown. The acting director of ICE, Todd Lyons, telling ABC News the field office is where they bring detainees for processing after being taken into custody.
So it's a secure location, but it's not covered. And that's where I think the shots came in from an elevated position down into the location.
ICE has been increasing deportation efforts across the country. ICE officials say attacks and threats on ICE offices are up 1,000% since January.
There was a bomb threat almost to the day where an individual came up claiming that he had a bomb strapped to him in August. And just in July, we had officers and agents ambushed about 40 minutes away in Alvarado, Texas, by a group with military-style weapons on July 4th.
Officials are saying that security has now been ramped up at ICE facilities across the country, including at a large outsourced ICE facility in Southern California. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Spain and Italy are sending military vessels to protect an international flotilla looking to deliver aid to Gaza. It comes after the group of ships reported it was hit by drones off the coast of Greece. The group says it was sailing in international waters when it was hit by unidentified drones and communications jammers. It also reported multiple explosions, but says no one was hurt. Israel has said it won't allow the vessels to reach Gaza. It didn't comment on whether it was responsible for the drones. But today, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said he would send a military warship to protect citizens' right to sail safely in the Mediterranean. Italy said it would activate a Navy frigate to be on hand for possible rescue operations, but PM Giorgia Meloni says the flotilla's plans were gratuitous, dangerous, and irresponsible. She urged the group to accept a deal to transfer the aid over in Cyprus. Meanwhile, in Gaza today, medics reported at least 50 people were killed across the territory, most of them in Gaza City. Israeli forces have been pushing into the area despite international condemnation, with the military saying it's a Hamas stronghold and urging civilians to head south. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians have done so, but many have not amid safety fears and widespread hunger. Typhoon Ragasa, one of the strongest in years, battered Hong Kong and South China today after leaving deadly destruction in Taiwan and the Philippines. Janice Mackey-Frere reports from Beijing.
Typhoon Ragasa, the most powerful tropical storm on Earth this year, hammered Hong Kong and southern China with gusting winds at more than 120 miles per hour at times. It's been churning for days across the South China Sea. The sheer size of it captured from space and putting millions here in China on high alert. In Hong Kong, the rain was so heavy that seawater burst through the doors of a hotel lobby. Ragasa first hit the Philippines earlier this week, causing flooding and landslides, then crossed south of Taiwan, where a lake burst, causing massive and deadly flooding there. The military is now delivering aid. Ragasa then made landfall for a second time, hitting Guangdong province here in China. Authorities taking no chances and evacuating more than 1 million people to shelters, according to state media. Experts say typhoons like this are getting stronger and more destructive every year because of warming seas and climate change. At one point, this typhoon was equivalent to a Category 5 hurricane. Ragasa is expected to weaken now as it moves toward Vietnam and Laos, still bringing a lot of rain and more destruction. But in Chinese megacities like Guangzhou and Shenzhen, the streets have been eerily empty as millions have been warned to stay inside and wait for the storm to pass. grass. Janice Mackey-Freire, NBC News, Beijing.
For the first time in 30 years, RCMP officers are getting an update to their uniform shirts. The service says it's working to modernize the uniforms worn by its members. It plans to roll out these new navy blue shirts on a province-by-province basis starting in Prince Edward Island next month. RCMP say the process will take about 18 months, so some officers will still be wearing the original gray shirts for a while.
The last thing you want is games ended because of a bad call.
Robots may be coming for the jobs of baseball umpires. We'll tell you when the technology will start replacing human beings behind the plate.
Temperatures tomorrow, Thursday, will be a lot closer to normal for this time of year. I will explain why coming up. But once we get to Friday and the start of the long-range forecast, we're back up into temperatures that are well above normal for this time of year, normal being 16. Try 24 on Friday. Now, there's the chance of showers in the evening. Saturday, sunny, 22. We have the Bomber game in the evening, up to 24 in the sun on Sunday. And then check this out, Monday, Tuesday next week, temperatures reaching the mid-20s.
Have a news tip? When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
The Winnipeg Jets played their second preseason game last night, and it was the first time fans got to see a hometown hero on the ice. Number 19, Jonathan Toews took the opening face-off against the Edmonton Oilers at Canada Life Place. Toews hasn't played an NHL game in 2 years after finishing 15 seasons in Chicago. The 37-year-old from St. Vital signed with the Jets earlier this year and says it feels good to be playing hockey again.
It's a strange feeling for sure. I think a lot of it feels like old habits, just getting ready for a hockey game, but then there's a lot of kind of just newness around me too. So it's fun to be in this locker room and fun to get back on the ice.
Toews finished the game without any points, and the Jets lost the game 3-2. The team now travels to Edmonton to face off against the Oilers Friday night. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are in action in front of a hometown crowd this weekend, and they're going to try and tame the Hamilton Tiger Cats at Princess Auto Stadium. The Bombers are coming off a big win last weekend in Ottawa. Quarterback Zach Caleros, recovering from a head injury, was practicing with the team this week, but he won't suit up for Saturday's game. Coach O'Shea says the Bombers' younger players have been stepping up and filling key roles in the lineup.
Their willingness to keep learning, right? Like, you can never arrive as a rookie. You just have to keep on taking in more information. So all these guys have made their share of mistakes, and they've all made an effort to learn from them. And that is what I think is important.
Saturday's game is the 5th annual Orange Shirt Game to mark the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. The team wears orange during warm-up. The jerseys are auctioned off to raise money for Indigenous sports programs, and more than 1,000 Indigenous fans from 90 Manitoba communities will be in the stands. Game time is 2 o'clock. The pressure is on for the Toronto Blue Jays as they take on the Boston Red Sox tonight. The team is hoping to hold on to its top spot in the league. The only certainty, though, for baseball fans at this point is what's coming next season: automated umpires in the major leagues. CTV's Adrian Gobriel is at Rogers Center with a preview of the future.
But it's a strike, and again, not reviewable. Oh, boy. And then that call goes against them.
In baseball, 3 strikes is always meant you're out.
That ball a good 3 inches off the outside corner.
Often leading to close quarter disagreements.
They are yelling at each other like this close, like face to face. The really immature managers are kicking dirt on the ump.
And Billy is not going to go quietly. They've been sort of like Supreme Court justices. There has been no higher court.
That will change as of next season. Major League Baseball confirming that each team will get 2 chances to challenge a ball or a strike as it ushers in the era of robot umpiring using an automated ball strike system known as ABS.
This is a very good day for baseball fans, because the last thing you want is games ended because of a bad call.
Utilizing a dozen cameras positioned around the field, ABS technology is also being used in tennis and football. The league says it will take no more than 15 seconds for a challenged pitch to be decided.
And the average replay challenge took 13.8 seconds. And there's only 4 challenges in the course of a game. So we're literally talking about 57 seconds added to a game.
Baseball pundits say the move can't come soon enough.
Baseball's been going on since the 19th century. Baseball's been going on since before the First World War. And now they're finally doing this.
It's important to note that the human element of the game will remain unchanged. Umpires will still be behind home plate. Those we spoke with, though, hope this will encourage the men in black to step up their game. Adrian Gauvreau, CTV News, Toronto.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Another exceptionally warm day in southern Manitoba, particularly in the southwest. Swan River exceeding 29 degrees, up to 28 in Brandon. We reached 26 here in Winnipeg. Now, the normal high for this time of year for the city is closer to 16. It will feel a lot closer to that tomorrow. The temperatures actually will be closer to that, but we'll also be contending with some pretty strong and gusty northwest winds. The reason being this low pressure system that's delivering not an awful lot of precipitation to the north tonight, but at least some. Now, this system developed earlier today over in Alberta. It zoomed across Saskatchewan and into Manitoba heading into tonight. It's not bringing a lot of precipitation, like I say, but places like Lynn Lake this evening, you'll likely see some come through. It's not a certainty, but there's a very good chance it will also pass through areas like Thompson later this evening, into Churchill, Gillam as well overnight, and then pretty much on its way and out over northern Ontario and Hudson Bay by tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, in its wake, clear tonight across the south. We won't see that fog here, but the expectation is northwestern Ontario. Be prepared for what we saw here on our side of the provincial border this morning. Lots of sunshine, though, the rest of the day, throughout the day on Thursday across much of the province, east into northwestern Ontario, and then the next round of rain starts to advance towards the northwest part of the province. It looks like it should get to Manitoba by late Friday afternoon into the early part of the evening, and it does look like it will be a much more substantial rainfall. Pretty much misses all of southern Manitoba and central regions at this point. For tonight, no rain in sight for Winnipeg. Mostly clear. 14 is our warm overnight low, warm relatively speaking. Winds picking up out of the south at 20 kilometers an hour. And then tomorrow, with that low passing over us to the north tonight, in its wake, very strong and gusty northwest winds for us here in southern Manitoba, including in Winnipeg. By tomorrow morning, northwest winds 30 gusting to 50, bright and sunny, 15 degrees for the commute. Those winds stay strong and gusty throughout the day. Temperature doesn't move much. We only go up about 3 degrees to 18 for our high, mostly sunny in the afternoon. Tomorrow already is Thursday. The UV index for Winnipeg is 5 or moderate. Around the province tonight, again, showers likely, not a certainty, but quite likely in places like Thompson, Gillam, Churchill throughout the course of the night. This misses Island Lake down to 9 there. Sunshine or a mix of sun and cloud for most areas tomorrow. Not so much for Churchill, cloudier 11 there, but bright and sunny 17, 18 degrees in the sun for Thompson and Island Lake. Gillam 15 degrees. A good chance you'll see some showers this evening in Lynn Lake, dropping down to just 5 degrees overnight. Otherwise, a few clouds through Flin Flon, OCN, the Pas, Norway House, Cree Nation. Tomorrow sunny in all those areas. Highs between 16 and 19 degrees. In the southwest tonight, clear or at most a few clouds over Brandon and Neepawa, down to 11 there. Dauphin and Swan River, 7-8 degrees overnight. Bright and sunny tomorrow, not as hot, but still well above normal with highs of 19 and 20 degrees. And you saw those windy conditions there around Brandon. Again, you'll get those gusty northwest winds too. Winnipeg in the southeast tonight, a few clouds, overnight lows between 12 and 14 for most of us. Sunny with highs in the upper teens, 18, 19 degrees, and those strong northwest winds. Northwestern Ontario, clear but foggy overnight. Watch out for fog tomorrow morning for the commute. Otherwise, a mix of sun and cloud for most areas, highs of 22 and 24. And speaking of that fog, it produced a lot of great photos like this one out in West St. Paul. That photo is from Vanya. And this next one, it's a fantastic shot too. Now, Chris took this photo from Portage in Maine. A great shot there looking across downtown towards Osborne Village. Send us your weather photos to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
Does removal of these toxins with these new filters actually help people live longer?
A promising new tool for people living with kidney failure. How a new type of filter could help patients. Canada Canada could move $12 billion worth of food and beverage exports to non-U.S. markets, according to a new report by Farm Credit Canada. It's a strategy aimed at reducing our dependence on the U.S. market, which, as you know, remains strained. Joining me now to talk more about how this can be done is Craig Clemar with Farm Credit Canada. Craig, good to speak with you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be joining you.
I understand the strategy focuses on 3 key areas. Can you give us an idea of how it's proposed this diversification can happen?
Yeah, when we look at our kind of opportunities, there's 3 areas we can look at. First of all, it's increasing interprovincial trade. There's been some natural synergies to be moving products north and south, but there's some real opportunities through investment that we can look at doing some more interprovincial trade to help solve part of the problem or the solution. And then if we look at the other things, it's about leveraging the existing trade agreements that we already have. And, we have many of them free trade agreements that makes us very competitive. And then finally, it's about finding new markets that we'd see in the global context and seeing where we can move these products to.
Speaking of new markets, just how dependent are we here in Canada on the U.S. market right now?
Yeah, when it comes to food and beverage products specifically right now, 76% of our exports are going to the U.S. So that's a very, very high percentage, and it makes us very, very susceptible to changes in that relationship. So, if we want to look at something a little bit more balanced and to increase the resiliency of the sector, we're kind of challenging to bring that number somewhere closer to that 50% mark.
What commodities show the most promise when it comes to diversification?
Yeah, so when we look at that, it's going to be the entire system that's going to have to look at doing some of its part, whether that's through interprovincial trade or it's going to be looking for new markets. But when we look at processed foods, for example, those ones there have relatively long shelf life, and those would be one of the areas that we can see some really big opportunities, as well as we look at vegetable oils as an opportunity to be finding new markets for those ones as well.
Given the evolving trade landscape globally, how essential is it for Canada to have a different and a diversified plan moving forward?
Yeah, when we look at it, the United States will always be our most important market. So, it's not really a question about that. It's really how do we build the resiliency, and having, multiple markets and not over-dependence on one is going to help build that strength. Investing in infrastructure, is a great opportunity so that we can bring more of those products internally and secure our food chain domestically. And so consumers are going to benefit from that as well. So overall, I think it's really important that we think about these opportunities and just really preparing ourselves for increasing the resiliency of this system.
Realistically, how quickly could these changes be made?
This is going to take several years. We're talking about, a number of steps that are going to have to take to happen to make this happen. But we need to start right now. And if you kind of look at where we were back in 2018, 67% of our exports went to the United States, and that's increased to 76% to where we are at the end of 2023. So, it's going to be slow, but it's about making progress and finding those new markets and taking advantage of all these great free trade agreements that have been signed, and then looking for those other global trade agreements that we can leverage and lean into to find these new markets. And I think we're well positioned for it. It's just a matter about having the desire and setting that target and working towards it over the next several years.
Well, we appreciate you breaking it all down for us tonight, Craig. Great speaking with you.
Thank you very much.
A new study suggests any amount of alcohol consumption may increase your risk of dementia. Researchers analyzed health data from nearly 560,000 people in the U.S. and UK. They found there was a 15% higher dementia risk for 3 drinks per week compared to 1 drink per week across a person's life. They also carried out genetic analysis of more than 2 million people and found a higher genetic risk for alcohol consumption was associated with a higher risk of dementia. The researchers say the study does not prove drinking alcohol directly causes dementia. However, it does add to similar data showing there is an association between the two. The study was published Tuesday in the journal BMJ Evidence-Based Medicine. Health Canada is reassuring Canadians Tylenol is safe to use, including for pregnant women. The agency says there is no conclusive evidence using acetaminophen is directed during pregnancy, causes autism or any other neurodevelopmental disorders. It also notes the drug has been used safely for decades during pregnancy. The drug is the active ingredient in Tylenol and other pain relievers. It was thrust into the spotlight earlier this week when the Trump administration announced a connection between acetaminophen use during pregnancy and autism. Researchers in London, Ontario are testing a new dialysis filter they believe could help patients with kidney failure live longer, healthier lives using a special filter. Dialysis removes waste, salt, and fluid from the blood, essentially doing the work of a kidney.
We're doing the study to determine does removal of these toxins with these new filters actually help people live longer, stay out of the hospital, not get hospitalized, and feel better.
The 5-year trial called Dialex will include nearly 5,000 patients across more than 100 dialysis units in Canada. The study will track symptoms to determine if the new filter improves patient outcomes.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manuke and Koster Denture Clinic.
They kept going because they were holding on to something.
From Middle Earth to Winnipeg, which star from the Lord of the Rings movie is coming to Winnipeg and when you can meet them?
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Elton Ron Tribute.
Winnipeg Comic-Con is adding out more stars to its lineup. Sean Astin is among those announced this morning. He's best known for his roles in The Lord of the Rings and The Goonies. Harry Lloyd of Arcane and Jamie Maguire of From fame will also be here to meet fans. Winnipeg Comic-Con will take place October 24th to 26th over at the RBC Convention Center. Fort Wayne Alive is offering a full day of free Indigenous-led programming to mark the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. Winnipeg's Urban Nature Oasis will be open next Tuesday with a series of events, including a sacred fire, a powwow demonstration, and opportunities for reflection. A Red River Métis medicinal plant harvester will lead guided medicine walks. You can watch an artist paint a mural, bringing teachings of animals and traditions into his work. There's also a craft workshop and TP teachings. The day is free, but you can make a donation to support Indigenous-led events in the future. A new exhibit at the Canadian Museum for Human Rights shines a light on a dark chapter in Canadian history. Appropriately titled Broken Promises, it explores the plight of Japanese Canadians during the Second World War who had their homes, possessions, and businesses seized and ultimately sold or stolen, despite official promises they would be kept safe. You can expect to see personal artifacts, maps, archival documents, and more. The exhibit runs now until April 25th. An emotional Jimmy Kimmel made his return to late night.
If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusions about changing anyone's mind. But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human, and that is you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man.
In his monologue, Kimmel praised Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica, for forgiving the man accused of killing her husband. Kimmel's first show back was also a defense of free speech. He called efforts by U.S. President Donald Trump and others to silence comedians such as himself un-American. Last night's show was not carried by two major U.S. affiliate networks, Sinclair and Nexstar. Your primetime lineup starts at 7 with The Floor, and at 9, catch Shark Tank. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
The streak continues. Which girl's name has been the most popular for newborns for nearly a decade?
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by Essentique Spa Salon.
Tonight, the Prime Minister's banking records breached.
Fraudulent access to anyone's file is something that we should all be concerned about.
Who allegedly gained access to confidential information and how the Mounties were tipped off. Later on CTV National News.
Beautiful out there. 25 degrees under a mix of sun and cloud. Light winds, too, out of the southwest at 10 kilometers an hour. Now, the record for Winnipeg for September 24th was set in 1997. We reached 30.4 degrees, so we didn't quite get a record, but still well above the normal high for this time of year for 16 degrees. Tonight, we drop down to 14, a few clouds. We should be fog-free. 18 is our high tomorrow. It'll be very windy, too, with some northwest winds. Back up to temperatures well above normal in the 20s. Chance of showers Friday night, but sunny during the day. 24, sunshine during the weekend, merrily. Temperatures in the low to mid-20s, even warmer next week.
Wow, looks great. Thanks, Colleen. For new parents, it's one of the first decisions they will make for their new child, a name. There's so many to choose from, but some seem to be much more popular than others. For the 9th year running, Olivia is the most popular name for girls, while Noah tops the list for boys for the 4th straight year. Runners-up were Liam and Charlotte. However, Sophia with a PH and Sophia with an F came in separately in 5th and 6th place. And if combined, that name would actually topple Olivia's reign as most popular. You can see the full list at ctvnews.ca. And in case you were wondering where Colleen ranks, we looked into this. It's 2,672 on the list. No surprise, there are 0 Marilees on the list. I put a plea out at 5 o'clock. If we have any loyal pregnant viewers, feel free. You could have an original Marilee or a fairly rare Colleen.
There you go.
All right. That does it for us tonight. Have a good evening. We'll see you back here tomorrow.